Well, welcome to the Leadership Lounge. I am delighted today to have Jamie Warner with us, who is the Managing Director of STC Teamwear. And Jamie, thank you for joining us in the Leadership Lounge.
It's all good, it's all good.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to be on camera, so I'd have done more to prepare for that, but hey ho.
Well, it's great to have you join us. And for those who are tuning in, this is all part of a new series that we're doing, where we're not looking at particular topics, we're just looking at the person,
Right.
and discovering with them around leadership. And so you have, you lead an organisation that designs and builds custom sportswear and off-field clothing, which is designed and made in the UK.
It is. Yes, so going back, rewinding really, it was around 2004 when I'd been playing rugby at a relatively good level, and at the club that I played for, or the clubs I'd played for, the kit that we were wearing was sort of coming into a bit more of a more modern, technically based product. And when I returned to my local club, we were still wearing the very old-fashioned, heavyweight acrylic rugby shirts, big quilted padding on the shoulders. If they got wet, it was like you're carrying a horse on your back.
I remember those days.
Yeah, and it was kind of, look guys, I've got to know some people through playing, I'll sort the kit out. And it opened up a big can of worms and quite a nightmare. So the sourcing, it was straightforward. The design of it was fine at the time, but it was actually getting the product. And we believed we'd ordered our kit in plenty of time, and I think it was probably 6 weeks into the season when it eventually turned up. I was still playing, so in the change room every Saturday it was like, where's the new kit, where's the new kit? Eventually got it, opened the box full of excitement to pull it out and go, that's not navy, that's purple. And so it was around that time that I thought there must be a better way of doing this. I was in truck and trailer sales at the time. I'd been doing that. I was in that industry for many years, and had the opportunity to sort of look at other options. I went to a dinner, got introduced to a couple of guys that owned a very well-known rugby brand at the time. We'd just come out the back of the World Cup, winning the World Cup in 2003. Rugby had really taken a big step forward, and they kind of said, yeah, we can give you what's called a Teamwear account. Off you go, see how you get on. And so I kind of just doing it a bit on the side, really, for my own club, then started to talk to other people at other clubs. And it wasn't long, it was about 6 months prior to my first son being born. I said to my wife, if I don't go for it now, I probably never will.
Yeah.
And so I did. And so initially for the first few years, we just promoted the sort of leading brands in rugby. We moved very quickly into other sports because we were only regionally based, and rugby is a small sport within the region. So we moved into football very quickly, hockey, cricket. And for probably 4 or 5 years, we just promoted what we believed were the leading brands in their sports. We had it customised, so embroidered and printed at a third party, and lovely. And it was a nice business. We probably got in at the right time, certainly in sleepy Suffolk, if you like, where there wasn't there wasn't the big market for it, and so to have a company in the area doing it, we seemed to pick up a lot of business quite quickly, which was great. As we developed, what we found is as we started to go for bigger contracts, if you like, with higher level clubs, independent schools, that kind of stuff, organisations, sports organisations, that we can compete as a middleman really, because that's when brands would probably go direct to get the deal and offer the best price. So that's when we started to look into producing our own product. At that time, it's still very much a majority of it now, but certainly at that time I was looking, everything was made in the Far East. I went out to Hong Kong, over to China. I went to a couple of large shows out there, factory visits, etc. And we initially started working with a factory based in Europe, which was great. But I always had this desire to want to try and be a 100% UK-based product brand, which we, 8 years ago, accomplished.
Yeah.
So yes, we are based in the UK. Everything is designed here in the UK. Our offices are just based here in Stowmarket, and we now produce all of our custom designed match kits and bespoke off-field clothing here as well in the UK. So we're very proud of that. Obviously, with everything that's been going on over the last few years, certainly regards Brexit, and it wasn't a foresight at all, but that's obviously helped us.
Yeah.
The cost of the product is more, but I'm happy with that. I think most of our customers are happy with that they're supporting a UK production. So yeah, that's where we are today.
Yeah, I think your story is marvellous, because as you're describing it, it sounds like it sort of started from just a little chance opportunity, a conversation, and then almost, the way you described it, was like a side business, a side...
Very much so. I think I always was... People talk about entrepreneurs. Am I an entrepreneur? I suppose under that banner, yes. I don't call myself one. I don't see myself as an entrepreneur, but I was certainly somebody, even as a younger person, who had this drive to do something for himself. When I moved off I was in the workshop initially with trucks, etc. When I moved off that into sales and moved around companies and brands, if you like, it was always the person that was my boss. I would always look at them, and looking back now, I always looked at them and thought, I could do better than you. But certainly when I look back now, I'm a better person than you. And you know, it was their style of managing. Some of them, I worked for some fantastic people. I worked for some great family businesses. I worked with some really inspiring individuals. But I also worked the other side, where it was just, you were just a number. It was about the numbers. My wife had a terrible car accident a number of years ago, and for most of that month I was off due to looking after her. Went to the end of month sales meeting, and they used to put your sales figures up on the big screen. There was 18 sales managers, and mine came up, 0, big loss at the bottom, and the boss at the time said, not great reading, is it, James? I said, well, no, but obviously everyone's fully aware of the reason. He said, yes, but we did send a bunch of flowers. And it was just kind of, wow. And again, looked at him and thought, yeah, I'm definitely a better person than you. I would treat people in a different way. So I think I learned, looking forward on, I learned a lot from those people, and I'm actually really thankful to those people for giving me that. But I think I had something in me that thought, I want to do something for myself. I want to be in charge of my own destiny. Not to become famous, not become rich or anything, but just to be in control of what I do, what we do, and how we do it. And I'd come up over the years. I've come up with many ideas. But yes, I think with this, I never set out to say, I want to design sportswear, and I love sport, but and I want to provide a range of product to people. I did just literally fall into it, but I suppose it was seeing that opportunity, going, well, I'm going to give this a go. And yeah, it was very much spare bedroom on the side, chatting to people, and building up from there, and then taking the big step to give it a go. Yeah,
and just hearing your story, started as a conversation, a side business. But you've also described that journey where you took it from effectively being brokers of other people's kits to then establish your own kit line.
Yes.
So people can buy a Nike set of team kit, but not from you. They will buy your team kit, which is UK sourced, UK based, made, and your company's UK. So you went from brokering other people's kit to make, again, another significant decision, which is actually, we can provide good quality kit that's UK based.
And it was having control as well. The issue we had is we use Nike as an example, because they're probably the last brand that we stopped promoting.
Yeah.
They are the world's leading sportswear brand.
Yeah.
Anyone at the top of their game is generally a Nike athlete. It's a brand that would reached every corner of the planet. So but a small football team in Suffolk is no real is nothing to the likes of Nike. So what we were finding was happening is, I mean, it used to be great. We'd go to their annual launch, and it was held at the Emirates, and it was a wonderful event to go to, but their product lines would be based on world sales. So if there was a product line that wasn't proving to reach, I suppose, various margins and algorithms they had set, then they would just drop it. But if that was a range or a line that you just that season started providing to a club, and they bought a number of sets of kits, and all of a sudden that colourway wasn't available, or that design, or they would have to change. It would be the same colourway, but it'd be a different design. You know, the customer who was dealing with us would say, well, you know, why didn't you know that? Why didn't you tell us that? It's because we didn't know.
Yeah.
And that wasn't just them. That would happen around a lot of the brands. So you were always trying to find out what was happening. You could never guarantee anything. Yeah. And I suppose it comes back to that control thing again. You know, it was the one element that I had control of our business. I had control of who we promoted, how we promoted, who to, but I didn't have control over what was available. Yeah. And so it was one particular large customer at the time we had that contacted me and said, look, you know, it can't just keep changing like this. If that's going to happen, we're going to have to kind of look elsewhere. Yeah. The answer to that question being, well, it will be the same with anyone else, but you know, so it was around that time that I thought we need to look at our own line here. We can either just muddle along as we are, and you know, it will provide. For me, it's always been a very clear work-life balance. You know, provide me a living, but we certainly, you know, we'll have to keep dealing with those ongoing problems, which over the last few years have been impacted even bigger. So yes, it was because of we can provide the service to the customer, which has always been a big thing of ours. I'll rewind back to when I opened that box when our kit turned up. I was full of excitement, and then just so disappointed, knowing I was going to have to take that kit up to the club. That the guys were, you know, I was in a rugby team. The guys were going to destroy me, you know, because we were running around in purple, red and white, not navy, red and white. So, you know, it's always been that to the team that I have now is that the main aim we always look at is when our customers open the box, that they are over the moon with what they receive. It's exactly what they were expecting, if not better than they were expecting. And so it was trying to maintain that. So yes, we then looked into going our own way.
And just hearing your story there, I was kind of reflecting. I know you're into sport. We'll find out a little bit more about that in which sport particularly, and go into a bit more detail. So I know you're into sport. You've talked about, obviously you were playing rugby, and this is what started part of this journey, wasn't it? Finding kit. But as you were describing it, you said it's not so much the sport that you were passionate about, but actually, as you've described it, it's about that customer experience as to what you were passionate about. As you say, when they open the box, they're delighted, and it was spurred by an experience you had where the customer, what was delivered to the customer was not a great experience. And
I go back to that 16, 17 years later. I still revert back to that experience and. You know, you can. To me, the one thing that I didn't do. I left school at 16. I did GCSEs. I left school. I didn't go to. I did go to college, but in a sort of city and guilds role element. You know, I didn't do a business degree. I didn't do any. I didn't come from a family of business people, entrepreneurs, people, anything like that. So I had to learn a lot very quickly myself. But the one thing I've always been very driven on is the customer. Because as a brand, I mean, because the industry we win is huge. There's a lot of people doing it. We all know the big brands. We can all name them very quickly. Was that we can't compete with them, and I never want to. You know, to fund anything like that nowadays is incredibly difficult. So yes, we're not a Nike, but what we are is a brand that delivers a great product. Produced here in the UK, but the service that you receive from the initial inquiry right through to delivery and post that, and we've learned along the way of that, and it hasn't been perfect all the way along, but someone once, you know, you're better judged by how you react to a problem than just delivering. And I just didn't want to be the company that just thanks for the order. There's your kit. Give us a call when you want some more. We try to build relationships with the customers to keep that longevity. And we've got customers now. We've just re-signed, I say contracts, the supply agreements that we have, and with one of our clubs, we've just re-signed, and it will be when it expires. It'll be the date. It'll be 14 years that we've provided that one organisation. Big organisation, get approached by a lot of people all the time. So, but because of the relationship we have with them. And we've had issues, but we've dealt with them. When they've needed things quickly, we've been able to do it. So yeah, it's always been about that.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that you're passionate about that customer relationship, that customer service, making sure you described actually it's what they wanted, but even better.
Yeah.
And you've talked about actually it's how you deal with things when things don't go quite to plan, and how you follow that up is what you're passionate about. So your title. And we talked about this off camera. Your title is Managing Director of...
Apparently so.
Yeah. What sits at the heart of that role for you? Because various people have this title of Managing Director.
They do.
But what does it mean for you?
I think there's two sides to that. It's what it means to you and what also other people perceive that title to mean. If we look at that side of things now, I think there's that for people who don't run their own business, for people that don't have a position of responsibility, authority, however you want to look at it, is initially what they think is you run your own business and you're the managing director, so you must earn loads of money and life's easy, and it certainly isn't. It's having that title in a small business means you're the go-to for everything. We have a sort of one level of management, if you like, but pretty much we work in an open office, and I'll deal with all types of questions and issues and whatever it might be, ideas over the course of a day, but the buck stops with you, I suppose. So I'll ask people what their opinion is, but they'll look to me to make that final decision. So that's one element of it. But for me, what I've tried to do, and so we'll come onto that from a coaching perspective, is I've brought that into my business, where if I just sit there all day, every day, instructing people, telling them how to do it, what to do, when to do it, then they'll just become robots, and that's all they will do. Now, from a business perspective, that means the moment I'm not there, not contactable now, for example, that if there's a question that needs answering, everything will come to a grinding halt until I'm there to answer that question, because no one's been empowered enough to make that decision. Yeah. So for me, as the business owner, it's a limited company, I'm down as the managing director, is yes, I look at it as in two ways. It's for me to ensure that I'm feeding the business all the time. So I say to our guys, if the boxes aren't coming in, start worrying, so it's for me to try and look at opportunities for the business, and grow our sales, if you like, and the number of contracts, the supply agreements we have. But at the same time, to empower the people that within the group, the team, as I call them, to grow as an individual, to be able to take on more work, more responsibility, and to be able to deal with situations that arise all the time, instead of just going, thank you, I'll get back to you because I need to ask the boss. And we hear that a lot. I will. Actually, it reminds me of I'll rewind back. It reminds me of a story. I was working for a large business, literally the last company I worked for before I went to my own, and we contract hired trucks into companies. And we earned very good commission out of these. And it was a Friday afternoon. I was in out of London, sat down with the operations director of this company. They were about to order, I think it was something like, I'm going to say 20, 22 trucks. It was a big order. Level of commission was great, you know, would have paid for a holiday that year, that kind of thing. So I was like really excited by it. Had all the contracts drawn up. We'd done the quoting. All of that had been done. So it was literally sign here.
Yeah.
I'm going to then, back then, fax these off to head office, and I'm going to drive home that Friday afternoon over the moon. And I sat down with the operations director, and we literally chit chat, all very nice. Okay, David, you know, here's the pen, sign away. I want to get away.
Yeah.
And he went, oh, Joe, I'm just looking at these. I'm just going to use numbers. They're 325 each a week. What are you doing for 300? And I sat there and I just remember my, you know, this real pain in you know, inside going, oh no. And I said, I can't make those decisions. I said, they're printed contracts. You know, I said, I can't just cross things out. And I said, but look, all I can do is make a phone call. So I had to leave the office, phone my national sales manager, whose name I'll never forget. And I had to phone him up and I said, look, this is the situation. He went, no, that's it. That's all we can do. And I said, but he's telling me categorically he doesn't want to pay that. Is there anything we can do? He said, no, not at all. So I went back in, said, look, I've spoken to my boss, and it's an absolute no. So I'm really sorry about that, Jamie. He said, but you know, then we won't, unless you can do something, I'm not going to sign today. So I left the office for a second time, and by this time it was the most uncomfortable experience I was in, had ever been in, should I say, and made another phone call. Okay, we'll go to 310. Went back in. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. So I'm like, thank God for that. Went through all of these 22 contracts, changed it all, put my initials next to it as he had to. He signed them all. I stood up to shake his hand, and by this time I was inflated again, lovely, I've done it. To which he then turned to me and said, great doing business with you, Jamie, but next time send the decision maker. So this regional sales manager, it's probably why I don't like titles, I think. This Jamie Warner, the regional sales manager, had been really cut down, made to feel like a nobody, really. Probably from both sides, if I'm honest. But I also believe, had we been empowered as sales managers to say, right, this is the price it is. Okay, look, your commission will get affected by it, but you can. This is your margin.
Yeah.
So if you need to get the deal, why didn't my boss tell me straight away? Look, if you can keep it at 325, go for it. But you can go to 310 if you need. And I remember just getting in the car and where I was meant to be driving home over the moon, I really wasn't. So I think from experiences like that to then I've worked for other companies where it was really, we trust you, go out there and do what's best for the company.
Here's the very bottom line. Here are your parameters to work within.
Push for the top, but we can do this. So I think for me as the boss, it was I didn't want to put my people in my team into that situation. They know where they can work to. I want them to use. I'm a big believer in gut instinct, wisdom, whatever how you want to dress it up. I'm a big believer in that. And to pick up on the person they're dealing with, is it a potential long-term relationship? Was it one-off? Are they just pushing for price, but they're not really that worried about anything else? Take all that information in and develop your own skills to then be able to come up with what you believe is a decision. Run it past me if you need to, but I'm also happy if you say to me, you weren't here today, so this is what we've done. Is that okay? And the answer will always be yes. I might say, because you've done it, but did you consider this or this? But I'd never say no. You've got to phone them back and say it's a no go. So I think the long-winded answer to that question was that's how I see me as this MD, boss, owner. Top brass, whatever it is.
And I love what you're describing there, which is actually you've become the director of empowerment, which makes you sound, even grander title. You said I'm not a particular fan of titles. That sounds you even grander. And you've worked in there. You explained actually it comes from your link with coaching. So let's explore that. You talked about you were playing rugby. This was part of your early story. and then you've talked about actually my experience of coaching means this is what I want to bring into my managing director role. And you talked about this story of your experience where that sense of disempowerment that you felt in that moment is something you never want your members of staff to feel.
That's
so
right.
how's you're a rugby coach as well as a managing director. How has coaching brought something into your role then as leader of a company?
I'll start that off with, not always the best players become the best coaches. And so I was a half decent player. Regionally I played to probably the highest level in the region, which was great, and all of that. I got county honours, those kinds of things. Which the game was only then really stepping up into the game. Rugby had only gone professional in the early 2000s, and so to feed that down to grassroots. There was no money involved, but people were starting to, instead of going, I still remember the days of going around collecting £3 match fees and then giving the guy that drove £4 for petrol, and and then I've got the receipt for the oranges and all of those things, and then Sunday morning waking up and going, I've got no money on me, so how much do I owe the treasurer? And having to look at the sheet and work it all out. But I think from a coaching point of view, again, as a player, I was very lucky to be coached by some really great people, some international level guys who'd played and instilled an ethos into the team that really drove me and I loved. I've also obviously been coached by some guys that were very do as I say, and you see them on the sideline. I don't call them coaches, I call them commentators, because they just walk up and down the side of the pitch telling everyone what to do. And I always then want to question them and say, well, you told them to pass the ball right, but they actually passed it left and they scored, so who's in the right here? So I've always been, I've been lucky enough to be part of a Premiership Academy pathway, which involved a huge amount of coaching development for us as individuals. And again, it just came down to empowerment. My big belief is that when the players, and I'd put this into any sport, when the players, if you like, cross the line onto the field of play, court of play, whatever it might be, that it's their time. I read something once where when players are resting, coach is planning. When coach is working, players are training, and then when players are playing or performing, that's when coach rests. Kind of like once they're on the pitch, that's their time, and they will learn from their decisions, and when they make what seems in that moment a positive decision, and the outcome's a great one, then they will learn so much from that. But also vice versa, if they make a decision that the outcome wasn't that great, they'll learn from it. And we all say you can't do anything wrong, but you can certainly learn from it. And it's very difficult as a coach, a support, or whatever, to not when you miss that sitter of a goal, or if they'd just made that one last pass, we would have definitely scored because there was nobody there. And it's very difficult to not, because the crowd do it, all six of them, whoever's there, it's difficult not to do that. But no, again, I suppose from my coaching, it's about, I'm prepared to put the time in and help you develop and discover yourself. I coach in a youth environment, so you can only ever be as best as you allow yourself to be. So it's about being able to deal with those different levels. Some players just enjoy running around, playing with their friends, and have no desire, passion to take that any further. And you'll have other youngsters that have got a fantastic level of, use the word natural skill, but certainly skills, and they do want to develop, and performance is very important to them, and winning is very important to them. And it's about being able to blend all of that. And so team is one, but the team is made up of individuals. And so I transfer that into the workplace as well, is that my team at work, I call them the team, we're known as the STC team, we're all striving for one goal, and that's to deliver on time, every time, and to the best quality service we can give. But within that team, they're individuals, and they're all individuals that are an important cog to achieving that goal. So from, if you like, from the fullback in rugby, goalkeeper in football, whatever, all the way through to the striker, to the wingers. It's not just about the glory boys, if you like, scoring all the goals or the tries. It's about what allowed us to get there. And so I've transferred that into the business, definitely, where, yes, every day I'll get asked a question from across the office, or one of the guys will come up from the warehouse or the customization area or whatever it might be, and ask me a question, and they all just laugh now, because the first response is, what do you think?
Brilliant.
What would you do? How would you deal with that? And so what they're learning now is, or certainly not how they've developed with that, is instead of coming to me with, not all the time, because there are sometimes they just don't know, but instead of coming to me every time with, what shall I do? Please tell me and I'll just go and do it. What they're now coming to me is, this order's come in, they want the sponsor logo on the job. It says print the sponsor logo here, but actually it won't fit there. But what we've done is we've done this and this. Here's a test. Can you send it to the customer and see what they think, or what do you think? I've got two options. Which one do you think, black or white? So it's that's starting to happen a lot more. But of course, like with anything in life, and sometimes you just don't know. And in sport, it's the same thing. We try to question the players a lot. What do you think? When you probably get to the fifth, sixth time of saying, okay, but what about this? They just don't know. So then, as a coach, as a boss, as a manager, line manager, MD, whatever it is, that's when you do have to step in and say, well, okay, from my experience of being in this game many years, etc., this would be my solution to that problem. What do you think? But I still go, but what do you think? Because once you give someone a solution, they process it, they might look at that solution and go, that's really great, but actually I would build on that. I'll take that to the next step.
So what you're talking about is bringing those proper coaching techniques in terms of asking questions and helping them to take ownership that you would do in your sports team. You do the same within your workplace, and what you're doing as a result of that is creating a sense where they're not dependent on you. So they're not dependent leaders. They become independent, and you take them through that journey. And I love the way you described that. Even when you've tried the series of coaching questions and they're struggling from their experience to draw upon something, that at that point you model something to them, or you explain something to them, and then you still ask them, but what do you think? So they take ownership.
Very much so. Watch, I'll go back to work today and it'll be a huge problem. And they'll all sit there and go, we didn't know what to do. No, very much so. I don't know, it sort of transgresses into every part of my life. So from coaching sport, I've done senior men's to down to kids, into the workplace, into my family home. I've got two teenage boys, and again the process is still the same. I think as a parent we're there to direct and lead and advise, but also teach and coach. And so once again, I've always said to them, you will make a decision. You just need to choose if the outcome's a positive one or a negative one. And that, and I honestly believe, I don't think you can learn, or you learn too much about always getting it right. You have to make mistakes, don't you? You have to get it wrong. I remember very early on in the business, ordering, we just got a big order, something like 50 pieces. It was a big order to us at the time. We were literally first year. And they needed them quickly, so instead of getting the product from the brand we were using at that time sent to us for me to check, then to take to the embroiderer to be embroidered, I just ordered the product and said, can you send it directly to the embroiderer? I phoned the embroiderer up and said, when these products arrive, can you put the crest on? Yeah, no problem. Went to pick them up 2 days later, over the moon, delivered them to the customer, and walked out the door. Great job, Jamie. To get a phone call 5 minutes later to say, we've just opened the box and they're all track pants, not track tops. Because I'd entered the code, it was literally one digit.
Yes.
Between the two.
Yeah.
So it was 450 for the jacket, 451 for the pants, probably.
Yeah.
Something like that. I made a mistake. And you learn. You have to make mistakes to learn. So the process then was, and it's been ever since, everything comes through us first, no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, if we order stuff in, it comes to us, we check it. You know, we have like a 5-stage check-in process now. Because I don't think we would have that if I hadn't made that mistake.
Yeah.
So you have to make
And
mistakes.
as a result, you now deliver time and time and time again to the customer the best product and the best experience.
We do, and also the one big word I would use in all that is honesty. I believe we're certainly one of the people who probably listen to this and go, we didn't have that experience with you, but we do. You do encounter problems, right? We do get people phone us up and say, we've just reached a final. It's next Saturday. We want these. Can you do it? I believe if we say we can't as STC, because the wonderful thing about doing everything, that whole one stop one shop thing, is if we can't do it, which means the guys will come in early, work late, come in on a weekend, whatever it might be to make that happen. If we can't do it, then I don't believe anyone else can. But also I appreciate that people want the business. So sometimes you'll take a job on with all good intention. We can do this, it's not a problem, but something falls down. It might be that the system showed the stock was available, but it wasn't, but it's coming in the next day, but it came in 2 days later. The courier company that turns up at our place every day at 10 o'clock, the day you needed that order, where the van broke down, right? Yeah. So, we started to embroider them, one of the machines broke down. All of these variants have happened. In the past, I'll put my hand up, we've just tried to cover up, keep going, until that last minute when then you're sending that, you don't phone them, so you send an email to say, I'm really sorry, but all of these things happened, and so we can't deliver. And I learned from that when people who were generally people I was dealing with who were in business. I remember a guy phoning up saying, Jamie, you're better measured by your mistakes than, not at all. So why didn't you phone me on Monday and say, we've encountered a problem with the stock, but it's going to be there tomorrow? Why didn't you phone me Wednesday? It's actually only got here today. Why didn't you phone me Thursday? The courier driver, van broke down. If you'd kept me in the loop, I'd have either said, it's fine, they're going to be a day late, but it's okay, or you're going to get them there, as we have, 10 minutes before kickoff. Yeah. All right? Or, if you'd kept me in the loop with all of that, then the shock wouldn't have hit me at a time where I just had another phone call that wasn't a great phone call, and so when you phoned me or emailed me, I was really angry. Yeah. So we've learned from that as well, just be very honest. And if we can't do it, we can't do it. And generally what we find is they say, well, we found somewhere else who can. Then a week later they come back to us. They couldn't do it. They've really let us down. Can you help us out? So
I think that honesty is when you're in business, or actually in any form of leadership, is key, and it's all part of your heart and character as a leader. And I think you're totally right. I mean, there's a situation where there's a national food chain that had a big issue last week, and they didn't necessarily deal with it particularly well with their customers in keeping them properly informed. And I think the damage you do to your reputation is huge. So you're talking totally there around that importance to be honest with the customers, keep them informed, and this is all around heart and character, doing the right thing, isn't it? When actually some are tempted to do the wrong thing. So as a leader, what is it that helps you? Because you talked about actually in the past, maybe we would have, not really told them, fobbed them off a bit or whatever. But actually now we keep honesty as a key value that you operate by. What is it as a leader and as a leader of an organisation? How do you keep that good character? What is it that you found helps you to hold on to that when maybe there are temptations at times to drop those standards a bit?
I suppose you measure it in a couple of ways, and again, it depends on the character you are yourself. But I always try to look back as how would I feel if I was at the other end? If I was our customer,
the recipient. If
I was the recipient of it, how would I feel? And so you try to go into that. But again, it depends on what your standards are, and that, I suppose. It's also if the moment you notify a customer, a group of customers, that there is an issue, whether it's going to be a delay, a product quality, whatever it might be. The moment you do that, you've opened yourself up. You've opened yourself up to be questioned and challenged, and people giving you their opinion on perhaps how you should run your business and etc. Where and then the other flip side to that is, well, actually, we might be able to sort this out. So if I don't tell anyone, I'm not going to get those challenges, those questions, have those conversations. But generally, when you go down that route, not generally, pretty much most of the time, it goes wrong. And then you're dealing with an even bigger problem. So, but also it just comes with experience, because with that, I'm not going to sit here and say that we've always done that. We haven't. We truly haven't. I haven't as an individual. I haven't as a coach. I haven't as a business. I haven't as a dad. You learn. It doesn't matter how old you are. As long as you're still open to learning. The hardest thing, isn't it, is challenging yourself. The hardest thing is having someone close to you perhaps challenge the decisions you've made. And it's just about learning and being open to criticism, because that's what it is. The moment you tell a customer something's gone wrong, you open yourself up to them to criticise you as the person and your business. And we're all very attached to our businesses. We're very proud of what we've achieved. We're very, and so sometimes when that gets dented, we don't react to it very well. Emails are probably the worst thing in the world for that, because there's no personal touch to them. It's just text, and it's not so much how you've sent it, it's how the recipient reads it. But yeah, it is just knowing that you've got to do the right thing. And though the right thing will cause you potentially more challenges, more questions, at the end of it, if you achieve the goal still, that not everybody, but someone will come back and say, well done, thanks very much, superb service. Because we just, you told us there was a problem, you dealt with it and you delivered, but thanks for keeping us in the loop. Or thanks for trying your hardest. We know it was short notice. You did everything you could, but no problem.
And that all stems from what you're talking about there. It stems from relationship, doesn't it? And as you've described that, you've given yourself the opportunity to show them what you're capable of when things go wrong, because that's when you really know how good the company is. That's how you know, for example, how good is my insurance. You only know how good your insurance is when there is a problem and you have to claim on your insurance, don't you? How do I know whether a company is really good? It's when their back's against the wall, when things aren't going so well. How do they respond? Do they keep me informed with honesty? Do they do all they can to make it happen?
Very much so. Very much so. It's, we will go weeks, months, just processing customers' orders. I think technology combined with recent events has impacted that personal touch. It's given us some great tools that, you talk about the likes of Zoom and Teams, things that I certainly didn't know about until the pandemic. And all of a sudden everyone's having meetings over Teams and Zoom. We recently extended a contract with one of our universities. Now, 2 years ago, it would have been an all-day process of driving there 3 hours for an hour and a half meeting, chat, is everything okay, good, yes, we've introduced this, you'd like us to do that, no problem at all. Thanks very much, sign here, love to see you, and then 3 hour journey, about a whole day gone. We did that in 45 minutes in a Zoom. Now, so it allows you to manage your time better and do other things, but also, even though you're on a screen, it's that personal interaction, that meeting, that you've made that trip. You've taken the time to do it. So we're trying to get back to that a little bit, because that's the relationship. People, I honestly believe, and I know a lot of people in other industries, but I can't talk for every other industry, but certainly my own, and I believe a lot, it's down to people deal with people. Yes, initially in the early start, we had a recent contract start with a customer, where at first it was very professional. It was the meetings were very, I've got a list of questions. Can you answer them, please? They'll write the answers. Thank you very much for coming. Shake hands. To 6 months down the road, it's a good relationship. We've helped them out. We've bent over backwards to make it work for them. We've delivered when they've needed it delivered, and with that has come a personal engagement that now the conversation. Hi, how did you have a great weekend? What did you do? This was good, and so because. Now look, right up to now, we as the supplier, as the brand, haven't encountered an issue, but we will. In the 3-year agreement, we will encounter an issue. It's inevitable. Something will happen. One of those issues that are listed will happen. Right?
The van driver moment.
And so I hope that because of the strong relationship we've now built, that when that time comes, that conversation will be so much easier. Yes, they're going to be disappointed. I'm disappointed. I don't like having those conversations. I don't expect the rest of my team to have those conversations. When it comes down to that, it has to be me. It has to be the boss. It has to be the MD, right? And I don't mind. That's my responsibility to deal with that, because ultimately, no matter if it is, I would never be prepared to turn and say it was totally out of my control. Something along the line could have been in my control to make that, to allow it to happen. So, but I hope that as long as you understand that in a business, running your own business, you are going to encounter issues, that if the relationships are strong with your clients, your customers, that dealing with those issues are going to be easier. They're going to be much more understanding about it, and what you will come out with is a resolution, and that's the end goal. So yeah, relationship is key with the customer. Relationship within the organisation is key. We all know each other well. We know each other. I won't say personally outside of the business, but we chat about what's happening. It's not just what did you do at the weekend? I'm not telling you. It's like we all know what our weekend is looking like, and then we on a Monday morning we'll chat about it. That relationship is key. As a business owner, if one of my team need to do something, leave early, go do this, go do that. I'm not instantly, well, you need to book holiday, you need to make up that time, you need to work through your lunch, things like that. It's fine. I never say it, but I hope that in return that there'll come a day where they'll go, I just want to get this order on, so I'm just going to stay half an hour late and do it. Or I'm going on holiday, so I'm going to come in early this week just to make sure I'm fully up to speed with this. Why? Because they care, and because the relationship we have is a positive one, and the experiences they've had in that relationship with me has been, he's a good guy. If I need some help, if I need time, if I need this, then he's cool with it. So yeah, I think it's important in all aspects of it.
Yeah, and with the customer and with your staff. Jamie, it's been a delight to just chat to you.
I've enjoyed it.
And just kind of hearing your story of how the company's come about, hearing about this coaching that you brought into your leadership as well, in terms of your sports coaching comes in to equip your staff and empower them. To hear about this importance, which is totally right, about your honesty and integrity and relationship with your customer, but also, as we're just hearing there, in working with your staff team as well, where it's built all around relationship. But we're at that stage in our chat where it's about your top tips. So our listeners, our watchers have heard your story, kind of have got to discover a bit about you. Probably a number of them now are looking up STC and go, can I go and work for Jamie? It sounds like a great place to be.
Yeah, I hope so, yeah.
But what are your top tips for anybody listening around how you lead and work with others? What are your top tips for people?
How do you lead and work with others? It's probably, there's that old saying, isn't it? Do unto others as you expected on yourself, and I think that's very true. But again, it comes down to the kind of person and character you are, doesn't it? So, but yes, I would certainly say that is if you can create an environment where everybody's striving for the same goal, because they want to, they feel proud of the team they're part of, and that they know that the result will be a good one, then definitely. So definitely build on relationships with people. Too many people, I fear, go into a leadership role within an organisation or start their own business up, and straight away it's all about, look at the chart, the organisational chart here. Look where I sit, look where you sit, and so you will do everything I tell you to do. I think if you look at it like that, you're never going to get the best out of your people, your team, your organisation. So definitely, everyone's an individual. You might have a team of 10 salespeople, but they are individuals. They will sell differently. Their conversation will be different. So definitely, top tip would be to treat everybody as an individual. Understand who they are, what makes them tick, what drives them. Some people like a kick up the backside. Some people need the back rubbed. And understand that. So definitely get to know your people, your team, the people in front of you as individuals, and understand them as that. I found that if you can walk into a meeting, the office, the change room, whatever, and just walk up to one person and say, "Oh, last week you were telling me you were doing this. How did it go?" Yeah. Then that person straight away will go, "Oh, it was great. Thanks very much." And you would have just lifted them that little bit more, that they will they'll perform better that day, right? So I believe that. Talk to a lot of people. Talk to a lot of people. If you're taking on a new role that involves leadership, if you're thinking about taking over a business, starting up your own business, talk to a lot of people that are doing it, have done it, because it's not easy. The outside in vision is you run your own business, you must be really successful, earn loads of money, drive a lovely car, and life's easy. It really truly isn't. You will work many more hours than you ever have done, probably expect to. You never, with the world today, you never stop working. We all have access on our phones, on our on holiday. I go on holiday, I do relax, I do have time to spend a lot of time with my family, etc. But it's always there, So be prepared to work very hard, and that sets an example as well. I generally am there before everyone else and thereafter. So it's most, not all the time, but a lot of the time. So set a good example, and finally, be honest and enjoy it. Be honesty is a big word. What is honesty? How would you deal with it? But certainly, be honest with people. Whether it's uncomfortable sometimes, being honest with people sometimes is an uncomfortable thing to do, isn't it? Whether it's a customer, whether it's a member of your team, whether it's a player, a family member, whatever. It's sometimes when you're being honest, it can be uncomfortable, but generally, I do believe the best result comes from that in the end.
Yeah.
Might be angry at first, but the best result will come. But also enjoy it. You've got to enjoy what you do. I think what's happened recently has opened people's eyes to that. I know a lot of people that have been doing the same thing for years and aren't doing it now, because the realisation of, I wasn't actually really enjoying it. So it's not always the case, but if you can find a job that you love, that you enjoy, and say if you love it, but you enjoy doing it, you want to go to work, that you're happy to do it, that will make it better. And as a leader in that, if you enjoy going to work, I guarantee the reason you enjoy going to work is not because of potentially the big salary you're on or the swanky office you've got or whatever. It's because the people you work with are good people, and you enjoy. I mean, you're at work more than you are kind of not, aren't you? Really. So, and I generally find if people say I really enjoy going to work, it's because as a leader, it's not because they're going there and just telling people what to do, because then in the kitchen they'll be talking about it. It's about, I enjoy going to work because the team that I oversee, manage, however you want to, I would always say that I work with, we get on so well and we help each other out, and we encounter a problem, we all get together, we deal with it. And so I think if you can do that, then life's good. So by enjoying it, just be a good person. Don't lead with a wooden stick as such.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It doesn't get, will get you somewhere, but I don't think it'll get you somewhere for long.
No,
you know?
no. Jamie, it's brilliant. Loads
really
of top tips there.
Yeah. I'll get in the car and drive back and go, wow, is that real? I'll walk in the office, I'll say, guys, you need to listen to this podcast, and then come back to work and say, that is it all. You know.
Yeah, get feedback from your team.
So.
I'm sure they will be.
I don't think you can make stuff up too much.
No, I'm sure they'll be reiterating what you've talked about here. Jamie, thank you for giving us your time.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
And your story and your top tips there around kind of leading and working with people.
Yeah.
So thank you for listeners and watchers of the Leadership Lounge. It's been great for you to join us. Thank you to Jamie. Thank you to you. And we look forward to seeing you at our next Leadership Lounge.